Hi guys, it is a spectacularly gorgeous spring evening here in the end times in paradise of East Bumblefuck, New Mexico, where I am thrilled to announce that I am heading into interview 4 in my scattershot Humpty Dumpty Tribe interview series. And tonight, a very special treat because my guest, Sandra Schoelles, who you probably know from, she was a regular commenter on the tribe, is going to seek revenge for her interview of me when I never let her get a word in edgewise. So anyway, we're going to let Sandra do most of the talking, just so you know who she is. Sandra, she joined the tribe, I'm thinking about 3 months ago. She can correct me on that. And she is the head cook and bottle washer at a Facebook page called Environmental Coffee House, which you really need to check out. So essentially what Sandra does is she looks at pretty much the same stuff. She surfs the same subject matters that I do, but she doesn't so much digest and analyze them and come out with her opinions of them. She pretty much posts, just straight throws stuff up there on her website, and she is prodigious. So anyway, we are going to let Sandra introduce herself and talk briefly about Environmental Coffee House, and then we're going to dive into what we really like to talk about here at Humpty Dumpty Tribe, which is the collapse of the planet. So Sandra, welcome aboard, and tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your website, and go for it.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to be with you. And I found you, I think it was about January, when I was surfing through YouTube and watched your videos, and man, I was hooked. And it didn't take me maybe, what, 2 or 3 days, and that was it. I was hooked because for me, listening to you, you're funny, you're fun, but you're also, it was like an epiphany for me. It was listening to somebody who's expressing thoughts and expressing them verbally that I have, but I don't talk about very often. So that's how I found you. Now, a little bit about me is 20 years I was the human resource director at the College of Buffalo's research function. So I worked with scientists and a lot of, people. They were principal investigators. I took care of all of their hiring, my department, hiring and people stuff. Equal employment opportunity and affirmative action was my specialty, and I was a sexual harassment trainer for the college and all that. Well, I retired early because I have had 3 back surgeries, and I'm it was a lot of traveling through New York State, and I'm a bit of a mess. So I retired early because actually I really had a great disability plan. 70% of my full-time salary, which was not bad. And my husband and I just said, we're getting the hell out of Dodge, and we bought some property, and we live in, I'd say, East Bumblefuck, Western New York. And I've always been, so interested in politics and life and everything. I've known what's been going on. I wouldn't say I've ever been a clueless fucking moron. I probably was a busy fucking moron,
Yeah,
working
most of
professionally.
Us, yeah.
What?
Yeah, most of us have been there, so all right.
Been there, done that. And when Bernie came along, I got involved, and I started my own little thing, and I was actually the admin, which I still am. It used to be called Bernie's Babes, and I changed it to Babes of the Revolution. That's just a group. I don't do much with it. It's pretty and self-sufficient. Then I was asked to help with this other internet this other, Facebook thing, which is also on YouTube and Twitter and all, called Real Progressives. And I'd say Real Progressives is where I got the opportunity to learn how to live stream. I mean, before that, when I was working and in my career, I didn't even know what a meme was. I never had time to watch YouTube. I never had time to do all of those things that I wanted to do for myself because I was really entrenched in my career. And when I joined Real Progressive, I was given some leeway, but they had made me their HR person, and it's all volunteer, and they had a team and all that, and it was kind of a bit of a clusterfuck, I'd say, because it was difficult to manage volunteers all over the country and everybody with different expectations. And the dude that ran the show had his own, he had an agenda, and then it just wasn't making me happy. And I'd say about December, 9 of us left at the same time, and I decided to pursue what I've wanted to, and that's environmental causes. And I thought, well, you know what? I learned all this stuff working with Real Progressives. I'm going to start my own page and see where it goes. What the hell? I like live streaming. I like talking. I like a lot of things. So I made this to be a continuum of everything under the environmental umbrella, all the way from where you are, eco-Nazi, doomsday prophet, all the way over to the other side of climate deniers, and to make us a clearinghouse of everything, and even support other groups, organizations, and not be in competition with anyone. And also be able to give myself the ability to do my live stream and listen, talk about subjects and do research, and to anybody who would listen. And I also do activism locally. I am with a local organization, and we just, in April, we were able to, and this was through a lot of hard work, we defeated what was the Northern Access Pipeline, which a fossil fuel company called, Niagara Fuel Gas wanted to build. And fracking, is illegal in New York State, but New York State they proposed to bring frack gas through pipelines through my county, which is very rural, all the way up and build these big processing plants in a couple of other places to go underneath the Niagara River to Canada to sell overseas. And we were not having any of that. And the people that I've worked with are brilliant people, amazing people, and we won. And when I did that live stream, and I was emotional, I mean, I had tears in my eyes, I got 31,000 people saw that live stream from all over the world. And that, of course, was on the heels of Standing Rock, because Standing Rock, while they lost, Standing Rock opened the eyes of a lot of clueless fucking morons. I mean, a lot of people. And I started doing stuff with Standing Rock. I started doing my live streams with Real Progressives on Standing Rock. And one of my biggest things was that we were complicit, that it was our fault. People like us go into the gas station, we gas up, we don't think about it, we just go about our day. And it was really because of our complicitness that those indigenous people in North Dakota were stuck with this fucking pipeline going through their fresh water. That was going to go through their fresh water. And it really opened my eyes to things that, well, I knew about, but I don't know what you would have called me then. Was I know I was never a clueless fucking moron, because I've never been one in my entire life. Maybe I was an apocalyptimist, as you say, to a degree. And I learned those things from you, from your...
Well, let's use that as a springboard, as a segue. the apocalyptimist. You said you might have been one. How would you characterize? I mean, how far down this rabbit hole are you? I mean, that, you know, over here on the dark side, where do you place yourself in the rabbit hole?
Okay. Well, you see, Environmental Coffee House, the one thing about Environmental Coffee House is that I don't show myself as the person who is doom and gloom, negative, you know, we just might as well sit back and do nothing, we're fucked, we are so fucked, whatever. I will be an actress, so to speak. I do take the hopium, and we actually made a meme about that used the word hopium, and it says, hopium, a drug of choice that gives you the desire and will to fight for your life and the biome of the earth. But quite frankly, the depth of my personhood, me, I would say I'm probably a depressed collapsitarian, to use your words. I know where we're going. I know what's happening. I talk about it with my husband, and he says I depress him. So I really don't bring it up much with him. But on our website, and we are moving to YouTube also. We're moving out from Facebook. We have a YouTube developing. I have a woman that's building a website for us. We're growing. You know, we're almost to 4,000 followers already, and I just started this pretty much the end of December. But I want to always present myself as someone who has some hope, who supports all kinds of different voices within that continuum. But my personal self, I know what's happening.
So and what is happening, and where are we going? That's obviously the two big questions. Well, it's two parts of the same question.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening?
I believe what Guy McPherson says to a degree. I do think that he makes sense. I don't feel that we have infinite amounts of time at all. I don't know if it's 100 years. I don't know if it's 10 years. Obviously, I'm not a climate scientist. I'm too old to go back to school. I have a master's in human resources. Not going to help climate science. But I also, and this was because of you, you know, I knew who Guy McPherson was, never really took the time to watch the video. And then Paul Beckwith, I moved on, and Paul Beckwith is now my friend on Facebook, and we've chatted, and I put his stuff up. And Guy McPherson actually accepted my friendship, and we've chatted. And so it's really interesting, but I would say that what I am really is I think that we are fucked. Honestly, in the bottom of my heart, I don't think that anything that anyone's going to do is going to change it. I don't see it, but I don't want to give that to my followers. I want to give the hopium because it gets people through the day. And what are you going to do? I mean, at least see your audience and you, everybody understands you. And your audience is very pretty bright. And I'm not saying mine isn't. It's just different. My audience is drawn from the political arena, from the Bernie arena, and we're growing, but I don't have the same type of individuals that are as attuned to the reality of our planet situation, so to speak.
All right. So when you're a I just want to make sure now, but you were, because so many people now, particularly with this little spat between Paul Beckwith and Guy McPherson, you're somewhere between the two. It sounds like you're not ready to say that.
I'm not involved in their spat.
Yeah.
I'm not involved in any spat. I understand what's happening with the methane up in the Arctic. I understand what's happening with CO2. I understand what we're doing to the Earth. I understand we're going to have earthquakes. I understand all of this. But if I was to say, who I really listen to and think makes sense, I think that Guy McPherson makes sense.
Yeah.
And even as terrifying and as scary as it is, it could be just a function of my age. I know I look great, but I'm your age.
I think isn't Guy 57? I think all three of us are the same age. I'm pretty sure he might even be a year younger than the two of us.
He might be. Well, I just turned 58 actually, and I think a function of age is being able to understand grave reality. And remember when I did the interview with you and you came on to Environmental Coffee House, my partner Roger was very upset, and he's 26 and he's a millennial, and it's terrifying for them to not be in denial about some of the seriousness.
Oh yeah.
Since then he has I think he's gotten it, but he won't stop being an activist. He's learning. He goes to all kinds of things where he lives. He has hopium because what else are people supposed to do? I could sit here at home and I could read People magazine and watch fucking Jerry Springer and and do nothing. Absolutely nothing. What is that going to do? So I do stay active. I'm with my local environmental group. And and in that group, there's people that do have a variety of opinions. Even with geoengineering, that's been on the table as a discussion.
So that's what I always like to check in with people. Where are you with geoengineering?
Just learning it. I look up at the sky. I see those lines. I see the streaks, but the jury's out for me because I don't know enough about it. I've been on that website, Dane whatever his name is. My girlfriend Claudia, she does a show called Cabin Talk. She's had him on her show. She's completely sold. And it's funny because she joined the near-term human extinction group, and I welcomed her. I said, well, welcome down to the rabbit hole, because she has also just been figuring all this out. After her, she became famous in the progressive world. She became pretty well known from her political rants and political discussions. But she's also a very climate person, an earth person. We love Gaia. We love our Mother Earth, but we know what's going on. She's on her channel. She's as far as telling everybody, we've got 10 years. And she talks about her seeds and all that, but I'm not there yet. Not on my.
Well, I wasn't meaning to open up the Dane Wigington and the chemtrail thing. I was just. Do you agree with Paul Beckwith that we can turn the climate change freight train around with anthropogenic volcanoes and bubble machines in the ocean?
I don't know. I can't see how. We're so far advanced in the desecration of the planet. I don't know how. I love Paul because of that. That he feels that there is, and it gives people the hope. But I'm not sure if it's false hope. And again, I'm not a climate scientist, so I just learn everything from reading. I do nonstop reading all day long, to where my work affects my marriage. My husband says he says you're always on that fucking thing. Well, what else am I supposed to do? This is the person I am.
Yeah.
I'm an inquisitive learner. I was like that through my career, and I worked long hours because I chose to do it, and that's the same thing I'm doing now. You might talk to me in 3 or 4 months. Maybe I might see something different. Maybe I may learn something that Paul has seized upon, that he sees, that turns my mind a little bit. but I'm not there yet.
Obviously one subject I dwell on, hammer away at, simply because virtually nobody else on the planet is. I mean, my number one issue is not climate change, it's overpopulation.
Ooh.
I'm just wondering where Environmental Coffee House, and you have one child who's not going to have children. So where do you?
She says she's not a breeder.
Good for her. Good for her. She is doing the one thing she can do. She is doing it, but I'm not going to get off on my rant. I'm just curious, where do you see overpopulation playing into what's unfolding on this planet?
I agree 100% with it. Now, do you remember back in the 70s? It was the 70s when overpopulation was a thing.
When the planet was half the population it is now, yeah.
Yeah, it was a thing. Yeah. I remember learning about it. We talked about it in school. I went to a pretty progressive school. I lived down near New York City on the Hudson River, and it was Pete Seeger days and the Clearwater Sloop days, and overpopulation was a thing, and it was a real thing, and Planned Parenthood was a big thing, and we were all awakening to the fact that the planet could not handle having a population that just kept exploding. Then, as time went on, it seemed to lose favor, and people just forgot about it. And now, if you bring up overpopulation, and I have brought it up on the page, I get people that argue with me. I had one woman who said, "Where did you get the idea that overpopulation is a problem?"
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're in denial because for some reason, children having babies is some sacred freaking thing. And I had my kid. It was I thought I was almost 29 years old. I'm thinking, well, do I not? I don't know. I was so on the fence. I had a dog. I was happy. It was my ex-husband who pushed me. He wanted that little girl, blah, 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 the little, white picket fence shit and all that. And we did. And I love my daughter, but I raised a pretty smart kid. And I think overpopulation is completely a problem. And when I first brought it up with Roger, he came up with overpopulation, that's a thing of the elitists. The elitists are saying that. Almost like Ayn Rand, saying that overpopulation, they're just trying to get rid of not, what is it, the lesser, what is it, natural selection kind of thing.
You mean you're talking about the New World Order the myth of the New World Order depopulation agenda, I think.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah, and that's I don't see it. Although all right. Okay, that's wrong. I can see it. I see it in the Republican Party. I do see it in the elitists somewhat that they don't want to give us health care. We have the money. We're the richest country in the world. We have the money to do things for the people. But because our politicians are so stupid, they don't understand how finances and how the economy works. I don't think. They don't want to spend money on people, on the population. They don't want to spend money on people, but they'd rather tell you that you have to have a baby. You can't get an abortion. You got to have that kid, but they don't give a shit what happens afterwards.
It's a confused message, a very conflicted message we're being sent. Yes, they need consumers. For the corporations need an ever-growing number of consumers.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into my rant. This is your rant.
It's religious too, though.
Oh yeah,
Hambone.
oh yeah. I mean, of course.
They want to shove that shit down our throats, and they want. This country does not want to send money to the countries that desperately need birth control and education because of their religion that tells them whatever horse shit it tells them. Ugh.
They just
angers
want to
me.
send them more and more food, but without condoms mixed in with the with the rice and corn.
There you go. I agree. And even here in I was. It's as funny as this is. I was at the hairdresser's the other day. Okay, talking to the girl who does my hair. She sits there and she makes a comment about where we are socioeconomically, where we are in that part of the city of Buffalo. She made a comment that people have so many kids, and she wasn't used to that because she came from a little bit more of an affluent area, and people just don't pop them out. And she could not understand why people just have multiple children. And I couldn't answer it. I don't know if it's because of their religion, because of just that there's a void that a lot of people feel children fill this void. To me, it's like, get a fucking cat, get a dog. You don't need a kid. You can't afford one, why have it?
There you go. Sancho Panza approves of that.
Aw. Well, I've had lots of animals. I mean, I had 4 cats. Well, my 4 cats, I'm going to be the crazy cat lady, but they were all feral. I live in an Amish area, and they don't take care of their animals very well, so I've got 4 that I've rescued, and, they give me a whole lot of love.
Yeah.
A lot more than some people do. Animals have always been that way to me. I feel akin to animals where they don't yell at me. I've had a hell of a life. I mean, I've been to hell and back in my younger life. I've had the shit beat out of me by a fucking asshole. I ran with motorcycle clubs. I've been riding my own Harley for 32 years, but I decided to get out of that. I saved myself. I took the wrong road, got back on the right road. I've always been I think, bright person. I just had chosen the wrong road.
Well, those wrong roads are good for some lessons, for sure.
They sure as hell are. They sure as hell are, I'll tell you that. And I was glad that my daughter did not have to take the wrong road that her mother did. She took her own little wrong road, but it wasn't that bad. And, at 28 years old, she owns her own house, and she has a decent job. And, she has a lot of student loan debt, though. That's kind of a bummer. I don't like that. I don't like it.
Kind of a given at this point. Yeah. Okay, well, let's look. What I always like to ask, in my interviews with people is what is your advice to people just going down this rabbit hole? I mean, really looking at what's going on and being honest with themselves and peering down here. What is your advice to people?
Self-honesty is difficult for a lot of people. Denial is a very, very strong psychological place to be. Denial helps us get through the day. I would say that if you're just entering this, that you have to have an open mind. Get rid of your preconceived notions from growing up. Get rid of all those things that you think are the way it is or the way it should be, and open your mind to reading. Realize that these varying opinions out there people are writing for a reason. Don't close your mind. Because the word overpopulation scares you or brings something negative to mind, go the distance and understand the reality of what is happening, because the world cannot sustain that amount of people. Look at the reality of what the fossil fuel industry is doing. Don't close your eyes. Understand that, when you go to the gas station, you're not just paying a price for a gallon of gas, you're paying a price on the environment. And then, open your eyes to what goes on out there with these farms and these factory farms. Listen, I posted your little thing on the veal farm today. I called it the cow concentration camp, and it was upsetting. And I the one thing is not many people looked at it. I don't think they could. People have a really difficult time looking and understanding or wanting to even go to anywhere that makes them just a little bit uncomfortable. And we've got to get out of that shit, because if people are going to stay in their comfortable little, world and place, we're doomed. We're done, if we're not already. So my advice is open your mind. My advice is get rid of your denial. My advice is say, read, look. That's why I created this site, because we do show and we do bring on interesting people, but also I publish everything under the continuum, and I'm not afraid to. And if somebody doesn't like it, oh well, that's not my problem. I'm presenting the information.
Exactly. Okay, before we just hit 30 minutes, I noticed, but I just in case Donald Trump is listening to this, and I'm sure that Donald Trump, this is what's on his agenda, is listening to the two of us yakking. What would you like to say to Donald Trump right now?
Well, I would tell him that if he gets his stupid ass impeached, that there's a lot of us out here that are terrified of Pence, because we think that, Mike Pence has that view that, geez, we could just fuck up the planet all we want because God's going to fix it. And I would say to Donald, go back to where you used to be. Talk to your freaking friends on the left, for God's sake. How did you get so fucking brainwashed? What happened to you? Wake up. Somebody ought to slap you in the fucking face, Donald. You want people to like you, do the right thing. Stop listening to these assholes like Rex Tillerson, who you had to make him your Secretary of State. Or I'd say to him, Donald, who owns you? Obviously the presidency is an owned position. We knew that with, I steal your terms all the time, Barack Obama. Fracking. I do. I really do lift things from you, but I give you credit there, Hambone. When I say the four horsemen of the apocalypse, then I realized that was what Kennedy's book, right?
I'm trying to remember who he was. Was he referring to particular individuals or not? I need to revisit.
I don't know. I love it though. I always mention you. I mentioned you a lot in my live streams, but I really I adore you, actually. And if I could come out to visit, I would. But that's what I would tell Trump.
All
and
right.
I don't know what could you really say to a guy like that?
I would be absolutely speechless in front of him. Once I got going, of course, I would end up in prison for.
Yeah, well, you know what? I might be too. I might be too. I have ideas of, let's say people that have terminal cancer. What could they do to get to this guy? So, yeah, we could get in a lot of trouble. But,
all right, well, to wrap it up,
everything.
And we asked what you would say to Donald Trump. Is there any parting words to the Humpty Dumpty tribes members that you would that I haven't thought of that you want to add, and then plug yourself one more time?
Well, but you haven't. There's probably not much that you haven't thought of, because to me, with your humor, you're also right on pretty much everything I think. I don't think there's too many people I've come across in this life that I feel akin to, like I do you for some reason. I don't know what it is. But I want to tell everybody that's in the tribe, I really care about the people that I read about. Valhalla and this other dude today who I was worried about as well, and he answered me. He finally came back and answered, because I was worried. He had made a comment about as well. And Groot. And I made friends with Splatter, Ted, Splat, and I would tell them I really, really, really dig y'all, even Fiesta Cranberry and all those people that we all comment. We're all pretty well linked. We're linked because of you, but we're linked because we all think I think we think the right way. I wish it was more than 4,000 people. I wish you had 400,000 people following you. I really do.
Day by day.
Yeah. And we could get more money for you, too. I could give you more.
No, we won't get into that in this video. I'll have plenty more videos on that.
And
all right, so one more time, plug yourself. There you go.
Growing. We are a Facebook page, but we are growing to put our stuff on YouTube. We're going to have a website, but come to Environmental Coffee House with an open mind because we present a continuum of everything under the environmental umbrella. Don't come there saying that, oh my God, these people are, they're just your run-of-the-mill environmentalists, because we're not. And there might be only 3 of us that are vocal, but we are passionate. But I think all 3 of us know. We all know what's going on. It's just how we can handle it, how each one handles it. That's all.
All right. Well,
and I thank you.
Keep up the good fight. We'll talk in a minute, but we're going to wrap up our interview with Sandra.
Thank you.
And once again, Environmental Coffee House on Facebook. Go check it out. And other than that, we're going to sign off. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning with my ecological meltdown roundup rant to kick off another beautiful day in the end times. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.